Okay. Okay, so here's what happened. My last video, I got stuck. Hold on. Oh. In my last video, I got stuck in a situation where I went and spent a whole hour and a half building. And ended up with my door glitching out, and I was stuck. Stuck inside my house. I couldn't get out. So rather than start over from scratch, I decided to go in and use cheat codes to make a new place. So I decided to go in. I made pretty much exactly what I wanted to make, what I made last time. So it's not that big of a deal. I also accidentally gave myself this. So, but what I did also not do is I gave myself no food whatsoever. So I guess it's not that big a deal considering I seem to have plenty of food here. So anyway, here I am now. Somewhere else on the map. Trying to survive. And hopefully you can forgive me for using a cheat code, but I really was annoyed that I was stuck in my house because of a glitch. So from now on, though, I have everything else is back to being the way it was. I have nothing else. I just have this place that I built, which I basically built last time. Is there an easier way to grab these? So, I'm gonna get to work. But while I'm doing that, I'm also going to watch political news. Because sometimes, that's why you're probably wondering why that's in the corner. I get a little bored when I'm chopping things. So.
This clip, I just want to tell you real quick, we got a new audio network. Go to tyt.com/audio and get all of our new podcasts.
Stormy Daniels, the adult actress who is taking Donald Trump to court, has been arrested, and then the charges against her were dropped after she was performing at a strip club in Ohio. Apparently, a law was broken when one of the patrons had touched her while she was performing there.
Good.
So Ohio has some strict laws regarding adult performers and the amount of distance they have to keep from patrons or audience members. So in this case, as a dancer, she's not supposed to allow anyone to touch her at all, but as part of her act, there is some touching going on, intimate touching. So Daniels had faced 3 misdemeanor counts of illegally touching a patron. So under this Ohio law that was passed in 2007, an employee who regularly appears nude or semi-nude at a sexually oriented business is prohibited from touching patrons except for family members, which I thought was interesting. So if there was a family member there who had touched her that way, she wouldn't have to worry about any type of, laws being broken. But since she doesn't perform in Ohio regularly, she was just there to visit and do a one-time quick performance. The prosecutors decided to drop the case. The city attorney dropped the case and said, "This is not a big deal."
All right, there are two parts of this story. One is the horrific crime that was committed, and the other is whether it was political that they went after her. So
I'm going to build
let me describe the crime because we were a little
something
vague
to hold
there.
logs.
There were 3 detectives in the strip club, making you wonder what they were doing in the strip club in the first place. That'll be part of the second part of the story. And they said that they observed that she kept motorboating the people she was giving lap dances to. So this is where CNN picks up the story. The 3 detectives approached the stage. Okay, they're like, wait, this is a very serious crime. Let's get involved. Okay, so they sat there and they say
I have no sticks.
that she allegedly made her way towards 2 of the detectives and shoved each of their faces between her breasts. That does seem like a very serious crime. And then force. The officers couldn't do anything about it, man. They were overpowered. Forced the officer's head between her breasts and smacked the officer's face with one of her breasts. Okay. Well, I mean, that sounds, it's not only inappropriate touching, that might have been an assault by breasts. Okay.
I'm going to ask a question, and this might come across as, a sarcastic question, but it's actually a serious question. Isn't that what's supposed to happen at strip clubs?
So
yeah,
different states have different laws and different amount of touching that is allowed, and it's by the patrons or by the dancer.
Okay.
So almost none of them allow for touching of the genitals. Okay.
Fair.
Right, and some are nude, some are semi-nude, and some allow the dancers to do the thing with the breasts, and some do not allow it. Right.
So let me understand something. In the state of Ohio, patrons who decide to visit a strip club are not allowed to touch the stripper, even if the dancer is consenting to it and comfortable with it and wants.
No, they touch as in they do the lap dance. Okay.
Right.
But you're not allowed to use your hands. Okay. I hear from
doing
friends.
the log now.
And then she is not necessarily in states like Ohio supposed to rub her breasts on you, right? On the other hand, she is allowed to rub her ass on you because that's kind of the whole point of the lap dance.
So lap dances still happen?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's preposterous. Okay, the whole thing's preposterous, okay? But the fact that we're wasting taxpayer money doing a political actual witch hunt in this case, right, is the most outrageous part of it. So was it that they were doing a sting operation? They asked that they were just randomly happened upon Stormy Daniels. Well, they actually asked the police department. Police department's like, well, I mean, we done some arrests similar to this going back to the fall. The fall of last year? So, you did 1 or 2 arrests at some point. This was, and then so you go to the strippers or the dancers at this, whatever, they're strippers and dancers at this club. They asked them, so have the cops been in here recently doing this kind of thing? She's like, one of the dancers was like, no, I haven't seen a cop in 2.5 years. Is that, like, nope. They just came in for Stormy Daniels. They
really like this location.
Stormy Daniels was offering,
which was the motorboating.
Yes, we're very happy about the motorboating situation, and then pretended to be outraged and arrested her.
I mean, couldn't those cops just enjoy the situation for what it was? Because it was consensual. Thanks for the memories, and let's move on. Right?
God.
Like, I don't know why this has.
Sometimes they can be really corny.
All day.
Okay, hey,
you should have waited longer.
That's it. That was one of the best puns I've ever heard. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And second,
so I don't know if anybody out there watches TYT, but it's a progressive news show. They're pretty unbiased. When I say unbiased, I mean I usually agree with pretty much the same thing they agree with.
We got a
generally.
new audio network. Go to tyt.com/audio and get all of our new podcasts.
Now let's see if it goes to the next video.
The founder and CEO of Papa John's has stepped down from his position. Now, this is following a Forbes report indicating that last May, during a conference call, John Schneider.
I like it. Schneider. That is how his name should be pronounced.
This sucks so much because I really liked Papa John's pizza. I mean, back in the day until I found out who this guy is. But nonetheless, he was on this conference call, and the whole point was to kind of coach him on how not to be racist in public, because he had hurt the business considerably.
I'm going to be needing a bench soon too.
That were offensive. There was the example of him chiming in on the whole NFL kneeling protest, and after that happened, the stock price for Papa John's went down, and so they wanted him to do this comeback where he would be coached, he'd be a little smarter, and he would fine-tune his messaging. But during the call, he said some pretty offensive things, which I'll read to you in just a minute, and that led to the company that they hired to help him out with this just dropping the company, dropping Papa John's. And then finally, after the Forbes report, he decided, I'm going to step down. I'm a disaster. He didn't say that. I put that in there. Okay. So during the call, he was asked how he would distance himself from racist online groups, and he responded by downplaying the significance of his NFL statement. And he said, Colonel Sanders called blacks N-words.
And he said the actual word.
Right.
And so basically he's saying, like, why don't I get to say it?
Yeah.
If Colonel Sanders can call him the N-word, why can't I say things like that? That's not really helping the situation. So, look, the PR company dumping their client is extraordinary. They actually had to do layoffs and lost 10% of their workforce because it was such a big contract. But they did it because they have a conscience. That's fascinating.
Yeah. It gets worse. It gets worse. I have to read the other one before we run out of time. He also reflected on his early life in Indiana, where he said people used to drag African Americans from trucks until they died. He apparently intended the remarks to convey his antipathy to racism, but multiple individuals on the call found them to be offensive.
He's like, well, look, I'm not even dragging it behind my truck. And people are still complaining. But a nice piece of karma at the end. When the stock price went down 11% because of his comments, he personally lost $70 million in his net worth. How is that for a strike back on a racist comment? Pretty good justice. And now he's not even there anymore. Two easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.
Oh my god, that scared me.
Before we jump into the next clip, I just want to tell you real quick, we got a new audio network. Go to tyt.com/audio and get all of our new podcasts.
A new investigation by TYT reporters finds that some of our representatives have been investing huge sums of money into the private prison industry, which should concern everyone, considering the fact that they are our lawmakers and they decide on legislation and policy that could either benefit these very for-profit prisons or impact American citizens. So according to recent data, Representative Greg Gianforte from Montana had invested $100,000 into Core Civic, which is one of the massive for-profit prison corporations in the country. So it was somewhere between $100,000 and $250,000. And he bought that stock on January 29th of this year. 1 month earlier, he had actually unloaded Core Civic stock in the same value range. So that's
I guess I'll put it upstairs.
And remember, the stock prices of Geo Group and Core Civic have gone up because of Trump's zero tolerance policy. Now you need, if you have crazy laws pertaining to immigration and you want to prosecute and detain every person who tries to come into the country, well then we're going to need beds, you're going to need places to detain these people, and private prison companies are like, me, I'll do it.
In fact, Core Civic had its best year on record regarding contracts. According to this TYT Investigates story, they brought in $135 million from just ICE contracts. So they're getting rich, and so are their shareholders, like Congressman Gianforte. In fact, the picture of him that you saw was his mugshot. So I don't know if he actually went to one of his own private prisons.
Of course
not.
Right.
I kid around about not knowing about it.
He assaulted a reporter.
And lied to police about it.
Yep.
Now, he body slammed the reporter.
I should have turned it around.
If you had done that, you'd have gone to actual prison, and maybe a private prison at that. But since he's powerful, in fact, the sheriff that took that nice mugshot of him was a donor of his. So they take it nice and easy on him. He got community service, a $385 fine. Everything's fine.
Where'd the log
I'm sure
go?
that he already
Oh,
made
did it
up
roll way
that
over
money
here?
from the stock gains that he got from the private prison
I love
industry.
the physics in this game.
And CoreCivic also operates the only private prison in Montana, his home
Okay,
state.
drying rack.
So think about how corrupt that is. So you have people making laws that make money if we fill up private prisons. So what does that give them an incentive to do? Pass laws that'll fill up private prisons. Now, those prisons can get filled up by sometimes undocumented immigrants, and whether it's the right policy or not, or we want to separate them from their kids. By the way, if you keep them with their kids, you can't put them in a detention center for longer than 20 days. If you separate them from their kids, you can put them in detention centers for months and months and months, and then GM4Day makes more money. A lot of these people who invested in the private prisons or get donations from them. And by the way, he also gets donations from the same group, right? They get rich in a lot of different ways from these guys. So, but not just undocumented immigrants, but also U.S. citizens. A prison's a prison.
They're fishing here? Yep.
I mean, that's the whole reason why for-profit prisons came about in the first place. It was in the 1980s, mid-1980s.
Nice.
1984 to be specific, and I'm not kidding, where these private prison companies realized, hey, we could make a lot of money off of this prohibition of drugs. At that time, lawmakers were passing legislation and really cracking down on people who had possession of marijuana. And so state prison, the local prisons were just overflowing with offenders. And so they needed more beds. And they're like, hey, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm going to go ahead and open up a private prison industry. And by the way, even though it's called a private prison, don't be fooled into thinking that it's privately funded. It might have investors, but it's overwhelmingly subsidized by taxpayers.
Yeah, so that's pretty convenient.
Not really sure what drying rack does.
I'll
But
pass laws that subsidize the private prisons and then fill them up with Americans and rob them of their freedom so that I'll make more money. How is that not an outrageous conflict of interest? And by the way, of course, GM4Day is not the only one, as UIT Investigates points out. Kenny Marchant in Texas has 1,700 shares of stock worth roughly $50,000 from the Geo Group. That's another private prison company. Should they be banned from taking that? Absolutely.
I mean, where's the question?
We're supposed to be a country that celebrates freedom, but we have congressmen getting rich off of imprisoning us, right or wrong. They get paid either way. Look, TYT Investigates has done a great job of exposing a lot of what's happening at ICE and exposing these conflicts of interest. We'll have the links down below if you're watching later on YouTube or Facebook. Please read those articles by these great reporters, which, by the way, you guys financed. And thank you for that, so that we can expose the corruption that no one else is talking about. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber.
How do you know when these are done?
Ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.
GOP lawmaker Vern Buchanan from Florida apparently bought a very nice yacht a day after lawmakers passed massive tax cuts for the wealthy. Now, Buchanan happens to be one of the wealthiest members of Congress. In fact, he's the 8th richest member of Congress and has a worth of $74 million. And so the tax cut passes,
make a log sled.
and he goes out and buys this gigantic yacht. Now, apparently he bought this yacht on November 16th of last year from Ocean Alexander. And the price of their yachts range between $3.5 million. That's the $3.5 million is the least expensive yacht this company sells. Now, he has to disclose what he spends his money on. Apparently, he spent somewhere between $1 to $5 million. He didn't spend $1 million. As I just mentioned, the cheapest yacht they have is $3.5 million.
Let's be fair, Anna. You could buy one for
21 sticks.
I mean, either way, even if you bought a yacht for $1 million, this is a lawmaker who is supposed to represent the best interests of the American people. So what we're showing you is a yacht with a boat in it, which I didn't know until today is actually quite common. It's a boat within a boat. And the reason why I'm bringing that up right now is because Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is probably the only person who's given me any hope today, tweeted something that I absolutely love. Let's go to graphic 19.
I love
She
this
said, "New
location.
rule, anyone that was cool with the GOP inventing $2 trillion out of thin air for freebies for people with yachts that have tiny yachts inside doesn't get to demand how we pay for people who need chemotherapy treatments. Thank you."
Yes. I think that has over 160,000 likes on Twitter. And so what happened? Before, no one outside of Young Turks viewers knew about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She wins a stunning election. Now she has a lot of followers. And it turns out people love her message. And this is the message of all the Justice Democrats. But the problem was it wasn't getting any media attention. The minute it gets media attention, people are like, yes, yes, like, retweet, yes, I love this, right? She jumped up from almost no Twitter followers to 700,000 Twitter followers. Okay, and now that you know that we've got a
Why it
candidate
says
who
I have
won,
2 viewers.
and it's being taken
I always have 2
seriously.
viewers.
That message is on
One
fire.
of them's me.
So Medicare for All was already polling at 60%. That's amazing.
If
That's wonderful.
there's
We
someone
live in
out
a
there, just
democracy
say
that passed
hi. You don't have to
tomorrow,
say anything else.
right?
I'm just
And
curious on
she's
why I
pointing out
always
what
have
we've
2
been pointing out on the
viewers.
Young Turks for a long, long time, but what the rest of the media won't ever cover. Or if they do, they cover it with tremendous bias. Well, Mr. Sanders, how could you possibly afford Medicare for All? Well, why didn't you ask them how they could afford $2 trillion for people with yachts within yachts? Okay, how did you afford your boat or your goat? Right, so let me just go to Vern Buchanan, okay? The person that Anna mentioned in the beginning. To me, the most damning part of it was not that he bought a yacht worth at least $3 million. It's that he bought it on the day that they passed the tax cuts in the House. That was I guess that was his victory dance. And so it was just to rub it in your face a little bit. Ha ha, I gave myself a tax cut, and with that tax cut, I bought myself a yacht.
No, look, if someone's wealthy, right, I don't hate on people simply because they're wealthy. Like, if you earned your wealth, good for you. Go out there and buy that yacht, okay? Do you, boo?
All right, next
But
day.
For me, it's more about what these people represent. This lie that the tax cuts actually help the economy, that the people who are on the receiving end of these tax cuts take it and stimulate the economy. They create the jobs. They take care of the American people. They reinvest in America. But they do the exact opposite. And that's what someone like Buchanan does. He celebrates, you're right, Cenk, this travesty of legislation by going out there and buying a $3.5 million minimum yacht.
Wait for
and,
my
and by the way,
breakfast.
with a straight face, hosts on Fox News have said, well, that stimulates the economy too for yacht makers. Literally. Okay, now, but let me give you the reality. So Buchanan,
I don't know.
Center for American
I know what they're
Progress
saying. I don't like the way
estimated
they're
that
saying
he,
it, though,
with
because
those tax cuts, saved $2.1 million. Okay. So he gave himself $2.1 million by voting for the tax cuts. Now, if you took that same 2.1 or the 3.25 or whatever he spent on the yacht,
yeah,
and you
I get
gave
that.
it to the average American in tax cuts for them, or
It's definitely a conflict of
you know,
interest when
in the
an
form of
insanely
jobs, if
rich
we
person
created,
is deciding whether or not he
projects for
gets
infrastructure across the country
tax cuts.
in so many different ways,
That's-
right?
that's
Earned
true.
Income tax credit, that's for the working poor. They're working.
It'd be really
So
difficult.
that's a great way of doing it. What would they spend it on? They spend it on food. They spend it on rent.
I mean,
they
it's like
spend
a
it
war.
On clothes. They spend it on books. And all of that goes back into the economy, into the companies that make all.
Here, I'll pause that for a second. It is much like a war. I mean, if poor people have the say, then of course they're going to give tax cuts to the poor. And if the rich have the say, they're going to give tax cuts to the rich. Yes, that makes sense. Too much sense. So it really is a battle. There are some rich people out there that care about poor people. There aren't a lot of them. I don't know about a lot of them, but there's definitely the ones that are in power. It seems like if you're rich and you care about poor people, you're not too interested in power. That's the unfortunateness of it. I will kill you someday, dear. This location rocks. Now, how do I know if this is done? Is it done? Eat. I guess it's done. I guess I have no choice but to drink this water. But it hurts me a little bit. Okay. How many more? 9. Go back to this again.
Those things and the employees behind those companies.
All right.
And it actually lifts the economy up. So that's
Let's
a
go look for
real
some
way
sticks.
of lifting the economy up. But that wouldn't help your rich donors or if you're an incredibly rich Republican congressman yourself. And to be fair,
This is
people
not
like
a
Dianne
stick.
Feinstein in the past have voted themselves hundreds of millions of dollars in tax cuts, and she's a Democrat.
Yeah, Dianne Feinstein, I mean, it's devastating that she still gets an opportunity to represent the people of California because she's nothing more than a fraud. I mean, she has pushed for and succeeded in passing sweetheart deals for herself and her husband to the detriment of people living in California who are having affordable housing ripped away from them. Dianne Feinstein is a pathetic excuse for a representative because she's done nothing more than represent herself, corporate interests, and her husband's business, and that's it.
And then television hosts can't figure out why people in the country are angry and why they might want a populist, whether it's one on the right, like Trump, or one on the left, like Bernie Sanders. Now, of course, Trump is a fake populist, and all he did was give people with yachts more yachts. Bernie Sanders would actually do the opposite. And that's why they're even more scared of people like Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And sad day for them. Now people know. And once people hear that message, they love the idea that maybe a representative representing them instead of the rich is possible. And it is if they're Justice Democrats or others who don't take corporate PAC money. All of a sudden, voila, they wind up representing you instead of their donors.
Nice shot.
2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.
You're good at this. I have too many fish.
Our military heroes' courage and bravery give greater meaning to what it is to be an American. Grand Canyon University honors our heroes and pays tribute to your heroism.
What am I
Thank
listening
you for
to?
your service.
It appears that lawmakers on a local level in Washington, D.C., and also federal lawmakers are doing what they can to block a measure that would essentially increase the wages of restaurant workers from below minimum wage to $15 an hour. Now, this was a ballot initiative that voters in the D.C. area overwhelmingly approved, and because the restaurant industry is in the pockets of these lawmakers, they have decided to do what they can to stop it. So I'll give you the details. Now, the two GOP representatives, Mark Meadows and Gary Palmer, quietly introduced an amendment to the House's government spending bill for 2019, which would essentially block a local ballot measure called Initiative 77 from going into effect. Now, that is the ballot initiative that I was speaking about earlier. Now, to give you more details on what that ballot initiative would do, and now that it's approved, was supposed to do, voters in the nation's capital approved the initiative to require D.C. businesses to pay restaurant servers and other tipped workers the full minimum wage. The new law would slowly raise the sub-minimum wage for tipped workers from $3.33 to $15 an hour by 2025. Now, the sub-minimum wage is something that has been banned in 7 states in the U.S., and it essentially says that, you know, in the states where it's still legal, the employers in these restaurants do not have to pay the waiters, waitresses, bartenders the standard federal minimum wage. They can pay them a lot less as long as their tips make up for the difference. And so essentially the customers end up subsidizing the salaries or the wages for these workers.
So the federal sub-minimum wage is just $2.13. That's how much you get if you're a waiter, a valet, a bellhop, or a bartender at a minimum, and then you get your tips, right? In D.C., the sub-minimum wage is $3.33, and they wanted to bring that up to $15, which is the minimum wage in D.C., all the way to 2025, so it's really gradual, right? There's two important issues here. One is the substance of this particular issue, and Anna pointed out that there's 7 states who have banned the sub-minimum wage, which means that, yes, the bartenders and the waiters and waitresses, et cetera, make $15, and then they get tips on top. And in some states, it hasn't affected the tips at all. They still have very high tipping in those 7 states. In some states, the tipping is actually a little bit lower. California and Oregon, actually, I was surprised to find out, is lower. Alaska's one of the highest in the country, even though they've also brought up their minimum wage for the waiters, right? So, but the restaurant owners are saying, oh my God, we're all going to go out of business, et cetera. Well, how come none of you went out of business in California or Alaska?
Hey guys, how's it going? Today, I want to show you my awesome new Wix website. It's got everything I love all in one place.
What's going on?
Let me show you guys how I did it. So, I make videos, and I have hundreds of them on.
Sorry,
Alaska
guys.
or any of the other states that banned the sub-minimum wage, just like Washington did.
I'm not used to there being an ad.
California is the equivalent of 5th or 6th largest country in the world if it was its own country. So if there was some sort of disaster in California because they're paying waiters $15,
that must be when you
whatever the minimum wage is in their local area.
play all.
We know, and it didn't happen. In fact, it's not a matter of whether we know or not. They've already studied it, and the studies show that it had no effect. They did not. These companies did not go bankrupt. So why do they care so much? Well, if they pay their workers $2 and you tip them, they get to minimum wage. And to be fair to the restaurant guys and the law, if they don't get to minimum wage, then after tips, then they have to at least get their employees to whatever the minimum wage is in that jurisdiction. So if they did, so they have to put it on top. But a lot of them do get past the minimum wage.
I can't just
and that's their whole salary. And that way, hey, I just had the diners pay for the salaries of the waiters and waitresses. If you have minimum wage, then the restaurant owner has to pay the actual salary, and then you guys tip the waiters and waitresses. And meanwhile, the owner's thinking, I want that money. I wanted that money to go to his wages so I wouldn't have to pay it.
And
now,
make the customers pay.
I think the log sled holds more than the log holder.
Is the case with so many companies and corporations throughout the country that refuse to pay a living wage to their workers, and then we, the taxpayers, end up subsidizing those corporations in the form of government programs to take care of their employees who they refuse to pay a living wage to. That's what happened with Walmart. That's what's happened with major corporations throughout the country. But look, that's a big issue that's reoccurring. We talk about it on the show all the time on a regular basis. But the second part of this that enrages me is, what's the point of having a ballot initiative where the voters overwhelmingly support the initiative if the lawmakers are going to block it? What's the point? Then obviously you don't believe in democracy. You just don't.
It's actually even a little worse than that. Anna's absolutely right. The
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I'll tell you why it's worse. Because if you
1, 2, 3,
pass
4, 5,
conservative
6.
ballot measures,
What?
they go into effect right away. Now, if you pass progressive ballot measures, or ones that are against corruption, or ones that are against corporations, the lawmakers come in and go, sorry, nope, I'm going to block all of those. I'm only going to let the conservative ones pass. Well, that's not a democracy, and then why are we having these ballot measures? I mean, you already corrupted Congress. You already corrupted the Supreme Court. Now you're saying, I'm going to corrupt the ballot measure process by only counting the conservative ones.
We do not have a democratic system in the United States. We don't, and we haven't for a long time. We just don't. We don't. I mean, this is just another example of it. Doesn't matter if you go out there and vote for these ballot initiatives and overwhelmingly approve it, because you'll have lawmakers on a federal level, and you'll even have local lawmakers, local politicians step in and block it if they're in favor, or if they're in the pockets of these corporations and restaurant owners. Okay, so let's give you examples of some local politicians. Seven of the city's 13 council members introduced a bill Tuesday to repeal it.
No, you don't get to do that, man.
They do, though. This has already happened in Maine. So right now we're talking about Washington, D.C.
I think I'll start a deer head pile over here.
The same thing happened in Maine. And
oh, wait,
I
don't
have
put it
no
in there.
doubt that they
Put it
will
over
succeed
here.
in doing this in D.C.
So in Maine, they passed a ballot measure with this same exact proposal, and the legislators came in, they're like, yeah, that's like your opinion, man. So
I missed.
I get paid by my donors. My donors
really
say
bad.
No. So I just threw your democracy in the garbage.
The GOP doesn't care about you. They don't care about you. They don't care that you're the little guy. They don't care if you're in the middle of the country and you've lost your coal jobs or your manufacturing jobs. They've never cared about you. They're exploiting you and what you're going through in an effort to win elections. But other than that, they've never cared about you. And this is another example of that. They keep making arguments about tax cuts and how fantastic they'll be because they'll create jobs and increase wages. Wages remain stagnant, and they've created jobs, sure, but some of those jobs are not paying, most of those jobs are not paying a living wage. A lot of them are temporary jobs. A lot of them are part-time jobs.
So the states that have sub-minimum wages, the waiters and waitresses are at the poverty line or below.
Oh my God!
At a much greater rate than in the states that actually have minimum wage for their waiters and waitresses. In those states, they're fine. So this actually makes an enormous.
Oh, I got him.
The Republicans say we're going to give tax cuts for the rich, which will eventually increase your wages. They pass a law that actually increases your wages, and they go, no,
nice shot, though.
Don't increase their wages. Wait a minute, I thought it was for the workers eventually. Oh, it turns out it's just for the rich.
They don't care about the workers.
And I'll give you the most egregious example of a ballot measure being voted down by the legislators afterwards. It was in South Dakota. Represent Us, a wonderful group that fights to get money out of politics, went and got a ballot measure, passed overwhelmingly in a deeply red state. I think it might have been like 3/4, and because it was very logical. It said no more gifts from lobbyists. In South Dakota, they have some of the worst laws. They just take unbelievable gifts from lobbyists, and it had a lot of other great anti-corruption measures in there, passed in a landslide, right? And they came in, not only did they say, no, I'm repealing, because I want gifts from lobbyists, but then afterwards, legislators took pictures with their gifts from the lobbyists to rub it in, and they put it on social media. Like, haha, you don't have a democracy, this is my corruption, and I'll rub your face in it. So this destruction of democracy is unacceptable. And what you'll see in media is, yeah, they'll, talk about Trump's tweets, and, and some people will fight back against Trump, others will be on his side, etc. But these issues that actually affect your lives, well, he says this, she says, if they even cover it, and if they do cover it, it's a lot of, well, a little bit of this and a little bit of that. No, it's not.
I'm gonna go sit on the bench.
Corporate power, it has bought off
I can aim this way. Nice.
And it's keeping your wages low so it can maximize profit. And that's why your wages are so goddamn low. That's what's happening. TV won't tell you that because they're also giant multi-billion-dollar corporations.
A lot of birds.
2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.
The New York Times has obtained an unusual letter that Rod Rosenstein, who is the Deputy Attorney General, sent out to federal prosecutors in an effort to help sort through government documents pertaining to Brett Kavanaugh. Now, Brett Kavanaugh is Donald Trump's nominee for the Supreme Court, and it seems as though, on its face, that Rosenstein is doing this in an effort to help move the confirmation hearings along, because Kavanaugh has a long history working as a federal judge, and that was one of the concerns that Mitch McConnell had when it came to doing a speedy confirmation of this nominee. Now, let me give you the details of what this letter indicated. Let's go to graphic 4. In an email sent this week to the nation's 93 United States attorneys, Rosenstein asked each office to provide up to 3 federal prosecutors who can make this important project a priority for the next several weeks. He also said, we need your help in connection with President Trump's nomination of Judge Brett Kavanaugh to serve on the Supreme Court. So this is unusual. This has never happened before. You know, in terms of an attorney general, or in this case, a deputy attorney general, calling on, you know, these prosecutors to help in terms of going through all of these government documents. They're not supposed to play a role in investigating or vetting a Supreme Court pick.
Yeah, it's hard to tell what's going on here. The Justice Department's Office of Legal Policy is supposed to get the information that the senators can use to vet the pick, and they've done that for Merrick Garland and many other people that have been appointed. In fact, all of them.
So what happens with this law?
For Garland, they had 2,000 documents they went through. This is all normal stuff. In this case, for some reason, Rosenstein is asking criminal prosecutors
that turned to STRIX
in the U.S. Attorney's Office, 3 in each one, which is also a huge number, because there's
I gotta remember where that is.
United States attorneys all across the country. You times that by 3. Even Gowdy can do that math. It's a lot, and and so they're going to bring them in. Now there's a lot of material to go through, but it's just a little out of order. But don't get us wrong. Rosenstein, in this case, I know Trump has attacked him in the past, even though he's his own deputy attorney general. But it's not like he's asking these guys to come in and prosecute Kavanaugh or to look for dirt. He's actually asking them to help the executive branch move this along quicker.
Yes. So
Okay.
in this effort, he's actually helping Trump. At least that's what it appears on its face, right? By the way, a former FBI agent and federal prosecutor has chimed in on this, Christopher Hunter, and he thinks that this is outrageous. Here's his quote. It's flat out wrong to have career federal prosecutors engaged in a political process like the vetting of a Supreme Court nominee. It takes them away from the mission they're supposed to be fulfilling, which is effective criminal justice enforcement.
So think about that for a second. You know, Trump's always talking about being law and order, tough guy, et cetera, although when law and order investigates him, he doesn't like it as much. He's taking all these prosecutors away from their mission of keeping us safe, prosecuting things like MS-13. He's like, don't do that. Instead, help me move this political process along quicker. Now, I don't know what they'll find, so that's an interesting question. And that weird story yesterday about how much he was in credit card debt, et cetera, I don't know if there's something behind that or it's benign. We're not sure. That's why you do investigations, right? And background stuff, as you would with any Supreme Court nominee. But I do know, in the most benign scenario, why they're doing this for political reasons, which is the elections are coming up. And so they got to move quick. And if something goes wrong, they might not be able to get Kavanaugh into place before the elections, and the Democrats might pick up enough seats to be able to block the confirmation. So that's why they're like, who cares about MS-13? Who cares about real crime? Who cares about terrorism? No, pull him off those jobs. Help Donald Trump get this guy vetted quickly and confirmed quickly for political reasons. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.
Initially, again, in 2014, Obama got the NATO allies to agree to spend more on NATO. And they plan on doing that. Now, Germany had fallen behind. They weren't meeting their goals, and Trump was right in calling them out on that. But he wasn't right in the way he called them out on it. I mean, doing it diplomatically, doing it in a way that doesn't alienate your allies is, I would argue, a better strategy. But Trump, I'm sure, doesn't really think too much about those strategies. So not only did Trump demand on Twitter on Thursday that countries meet the 2% level by this year, not 2024, but he also said all countries should eventually hit 4%, which is more than even the U.S. currently spends. In fact, spending 4% of GDP on defense represents wartime levels of investment.
And
now, who would that spending go to? Oh, right, defense contractors. So, and who do they donate to? Oh, right, the Republican Party. So, well, what a nice break that the defense contractors would get incredibly rich off of this. and so would the corrupt Republican, and by the way, a lot of Democratic politicians too, who take money from those defense contractors. My donors say you have to increase your military spending. Did I say donors out loud? In this case, he actually didn't say donors out loud, but we can hear it pretty clearly.
So what is the response from these allies? Look, everyone's
Go get some
glad
more sticks.
that NATO hasn't been dismantled or destroyed. So I guess in that respect, in that regard, people are happy.
No, I got it. Look, when Bush was talking to Brian Williams a long time ago when he was president, he said, the trick is to keep expectations low.
Yep.
Okay, now this is how low the bar has gotten for Donald Trump. He went to a meeting with NATO, and NATO did not immediately explode. Like, they did not disband the alliance on the spot. And people were like, bravo, Trump. Okay, you got out of the meeting without ruining an alliance that has lasted for decades
That's
upon
cool.
decades.
So
congratulations.
does everything spawn in the morning?
That's the lowest bar in history.
Right. Now, Macron responded to calls to
Nope,
increase
not
the
totally.
funding by 4%, and he just denied that anyone has agreed to do that. He said allies reconfirmed what they already pledged in recent years to increase their defense spending by 2% by 2024, but he didn't mention any country committing to fresh spending following the Thursday discussion. And so,
what that means, by the way, is Trump doing the press conference going, after we talked, now they're all, going to increase their spending. And Macron saying, no, not a single country agreed to further spending after these discussions.
that's right.
Just to be clear.
And just to be clear, I mean, there are other examples when it comes to talks with other foreign leaders where Trump has completely lied about what they said they would do. So after the summit in Singapore with Kim Jong-un, Trump comes back to the United States and says that they've already sent back the remains of 200 American soldiers who fought in the Korean War. Guess what? They haven't sent back a single soldier's remains. Not a single soldier's remains. In fact, North Korean leaders or North Korean officials, I should say, were supposed to meet with American officials to discuss the logistics of returning those remains. And guess what? They didn't show up.
And that just happened. So that was a total lie. My favorite lie out of that was the parents of the fallen soldiers keep asking me to bring the bodies back. The youngest that the parents could be is 108 years old. Okay, so, but we've gotten used to a serial liar as president, and here we are. So
what is this?
In his version of events, which is ironically, of course, fake news, he was super tough on the Europeans, and they loved it. They loved getting punched in the face, and then they immediately conceded to his demands, none of which are true, but the band marches on. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.
I got him again.
Donald Trump's meeting with NATO allies ended in what could be called a more conciliatory phase, but it's unknown whether or not things will continue to be bumpy along the way with Trump and our allies. So let's talk about that a little bit. Following Donald Trump's meeting with NATO allies, he decided to have an impromptu press conference where he made all sorts of accusations
See if my deer head's
toward
still there.
the allies, but more importantly, claimed to have achieved this ambitious goal of getting the allies to pay more for NATO. Now, he had said, and we gave him credit for, that our NATO allies had promised to pay 2% of their gross domestic product for NATO, and they hadn't done that yet. Well, it turns out that they had promised to do that by the time we reached 2024, but nonetheless, we got it. NATO allies should pay more. Now he's claiming to have moved the goalposts and that the NATO allies have agreed to things that they have not agreed to. So in this impromptu news conference, Trump declared that it was unnecessary for the U.S. to withdraw from the North Atlantic Treaty Organization after telling allied leaders that morning that if they didn't immediately meet the 2% goal, I'll do my own thing. Okay.
Okay, I mean, I know broken record, but it's true. He's like a kid who says, oh yeah, then I'll take my ball and go home. And then you guys won't be able to play. I'll do my own thing. Look, I know he's careless with words, to say the least, but it's not your own thing. It's the United States. It's about our national security, and telling all our allies to take your ball and go home is not productive. And your constant stupid yo-yo strategy of Germans are working with the Russians, it's unacceptable. You got to get to 2%. The next day, 4%. Otherwise, I take my ball and go home. I'll do my own thing, right? Oh, okay, it was fantastic. It was a tremendous meeting. He talks about how it was a tremendous meeting.
Yeah, he said.
And they had great success.
It was a little tough for a little while, but you can ask anybody in that meeting. They're really liking what happened over the last 2 days.
No.
This is a standard.
No, they're not.
This is a standard tactic that you see from Trump. I mean, he'll slap on random, ridiculous tariffs on our allies, and then turn around and say that the allies love it. He just puts words in people's mouths. And by the way, to some extent, it works. I mean, he is incredibly good at manipulating the conversation and convincing people that what he's doing is effective, that he's tough, and that while he's punching people in the face, while he's punching his friends in the face, they're loving every minute of it. No one's ever seen people love getting punched in the face like this before. Not as much as when I punch people in the face. It's tremendous. I do the best punches. I mean, it's laughable. Anyway, again, this was an impromptu.
Is there a
press
way to
conference.
store food?
But I got to look, 2 things about that. One, on your point about how it works, Democrats take note. It turns out making your own case, even if it's a preposterous one riddled with lies, one that makes no logical sense at all, it still works. Because at least somebody's making a case. Democrats are like, no, I got it. Oh my God, we're scared about the Republicans in these 5 Democratic seats that are up for re-election that are in red states. We're so scared. Maybe those senators should vote for Kavanaugh and make the Republican case for them. No, make your own case, and it might actually work. And by the way, you have the advantage of being right on most of these issues. And more importantly, having the American people agree with you on almost all the issues. Meanwhile, this buffoon goes out and goes, oh, we had a tremendous meeting. Ask anyone involved. They did ask people involved. They didn't think it was tremendous. They thought it was borderline disastrous. Right? But he says it.
All right, I'm
and
gonna
40%
start
of the
building
country
a
goes,
wall.
Oh, it must have been a tremendous meeting.
So just to give you a little bit more of that messaging, here he is during that impromptu press conference talking about how these meetings went and what he allegedly accomplished.
And tremendous progress has been made. Everyone's agreed to substantially up their commitment. They're going to up it at levels that they've never thought of before. Prior to last year, where I attended my first meeting, it was going down. The amount of money being spent by countries was going down and down very substantially, and now it's going up very substantially, and commitments were made. Only 5 of 29 countries were making their commitment, and that's now changed. The commitment was at 2%. Ultimately, that'll be going up quite a bit higher than that.
Okay.
Nobody agreed to have it go up higher than 2%.
No one agreed, and I'll give you statements from Macron and other leaders that said, no, we agreed during the Obama administration to increase the spending to 2% by 2024. We plan on doing that. We will continue doing that. And by the way, Trump keeps talking about how I'm the tough guy. I'm the one who convinced, our allies to agree to spend more. No. And if you don't believe me, you don't have to believe me. You can watch it for yourself. Here is Obama urging NATO allies to spend more to fund NATO.
And as your ally and as your friend, let me say that we'll be more secure when every NATO member, including Canada, contributes its full share to our common security.
The problem is he didn't say it in a stupid way, so it wasn't entertaining. It was just dull when he asked for the 2%. So when Trump comes in and goes, what the Germans are doing is very unfair, trying to do an energy deal with Russia like I was trying to do a little bit ago. Very unfair. Then people pay attention and, oh my God, maybe there's going to be a 2x4, etc.
What was incredible about Trump's press conference was that he kept looking down at his notes. Which indicates that he prepared somewhat for that press conference, and he still sounded like an idiot.
Yeah, well, that's not surprising.
I guess, but I mean, wow.
Yeah. Can I note the irony or the interesting situation that we have found ourselves in, where the Americans and the rest of the world, to some degree, are asking the Germans to spend more on their military? 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.
FBI agent Peter Strzok really proved himself to be very strong during his hearings with the GOP, with members of Congress. He was asked all sorts of ridiculous, inappropriate questions, but he managed to, in my opinion, fight back aggressively and effectively. So I want to show you a few examples of that. Let's take a look at the first example where he defends his text messages.
In terms of the text that we will stop it. You need to understand that that was written late at night, off the cuff, and it was in response to a series of events that included then candidate Trump insulting the immigrant family of a fallen war hero. And my presumption, based on that horrible, disgusting behavior, that the American population would not elect somebody demonstrating that behavior to be president of the United States. It was in no way, unequivocally, any suggestion that me, the FBI, would take any action whatsoever to improperly impact the electoral process for any candidate. As to the 100 million to 1, that was clearly a statement made in jest and using hyperbole. I, of course, recognize that millions of Americans were likely to vote for candidate Trump. I acknowledge that is absolutely their right. That is what makes our democracy such a vibrant process that it is. But to suggest somehow that we can parse down the words of shorthand textual conversations like there's some contract for a car is simply not consistent with my or most people's use of text messaging.
That's an excellent explanation, and I like his tone. And he's like, well, if you were unclear that I didn't like Donald Trump, let me be clear. I didn't like Donald Trump. I thought his actions were disgusting. Right. And we'll stop it meant the American people will vote against it. He was wrong about that. They did vote in favor of it. Well, certainly in enough states for the Electoral College to have Donald Trump win. But like you, Anna, the thing that I like most is the strength. Right. He reminded me a little bit of George Galloway there, where George Galloway during the Iraq War was called into hearings. He's British, or he's actually Scottish, and brought in. And they're like, you know, you're doing, saying things that we think are in favor of Saddam Hussein, and total BS. He came in and he said, I do not come as the accused. I come as the accuser. Okay, and he let it rip. And I was like, I like this guy. Okay, that's the kind of Scottish guy I like. Okay. Anyway, the other thing it reminded me of is finally somebody fighting back that's been called into these hearings. You know, usually almost everybody lets these Republican congressmen bully them. And this kind of felt like a moment where somebody in the McCarthy hearings finally said to Joe McCarthy, at long last, you have no decency, sir. Okay, and it started a turnaround. And I don't know why everybody bows their heads to these congressmen. They have no actual power.
Because
they're just a bunch of, clowns putting together a three-ring circus.
Well, they do have power, but unfortunately they wield their power in support of what their donors want, and this is just their effort at appearing strong and appearing as though they are representing their constituents. But if you look at their policies and if you look at what they've actually done for their constituents, it's been nothing but incredibly regressive policies that hurt them economically, that hurt them financially, that hurt them in many different ways. So this is their way of overcompensating and making it appear as though they're doing something. Again, this is more than political theater. And what I like is, yes, Strzok is fighting back. And the reason why other people haven't fought back in a similar fashion is because I think people have been late to catch on to the fact that politics has fundamentally changed. These members of Congress are not these respectable, buttoned up, professional people anymore. They're just not. And Trump running the type of campaign that he did, and Trump conducting himself the way he does publicly on a daily basis has led to the circus that we see in Congress, now in our judicial system. It's all over the place in the way that we interact with one another, the type of rhetoric we use. And I like the fact that Strzok finally realized these are not people who are interested in having a legitimate discussion and they have no interest in asking me legitimate questions. They just want to attack me and they have no interest in what I have to say. Well, let me give it to them. And I like that, even though I'm sure we don't agree politically.
I'm glad that he struck back.
Yeah, me too.
I'm here all week. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.
During FBI agent Peter Strzok's testimony and also GOP hearings, he had an interaction with Louis Gohmert that I found interesting. And so Gohmert really wants to hit Strzok hard.
All right,
He
I'm
believes
going
that
to sit
Strzok
here for a little bit
has
and get my
enough
stamina
of a
back.
bias to play a role in this alleged witch hunt of an investigation into Trump and possible ties
the rain?
to Russian meddling. Now, with that said, take a look at what Gohmert
Windy,
said
too.
to Strzok at the beginning of this interaction.
And let me tell you, when you have text messages, Mr. Strzok, the way you do, saying the things you did, you'd been better off coming in here and say, look, that was my bias. And you kind of get around to that a little bit when you say, hey, you know, everybody's got political views. Those are called biases. And we all
Don't hit
have
the
them.
wall, don't hit the
And
wall, don't hit the
you have
wall.
come in here and said,
Yeah.
I had no bias. And you do it with a straight face. And I watched you in the private testimony you gave. And I told some of the other guys, he is really good. He's lying. He knows, we know he's lying. And he could probably pass the polygraph.
Well, you know, if he passed a polygraph, that means he's not lying. I mean, what, you could believe or not.
No.
If you believe in one and you pass one, that means you're not lying. Anyway, so no, there is a difference between views and bias. Everybody has political views, but if it affects your conduct of your official role, then that becomes a bias. So, for example, I'm not a big fan of Hillary Clinton, but if I was doing an investigation of Hillary Clinton, I would not let that affect me and bias me. I would try to stick to the facts, whether it was as a prosecutor or in whatever role it might be. I would hope that FBI officials would do the same thing, and it appears they have, because he clearly, Strzok, did not like Trump, really disliked Trump. And he had incredibly incriminating information about how he might have been working with the Russians during the campaign. And he didn't release it during the campaign, thereby helping Trump tremendously.
Yeah, let me just...
See, that's his political views, not leading to bias.
Look, let me just remind everyone that leading up to the election, the FBI made it very clear that there was one person being investigated. It was a public announcement that this person was being investigated, and that person was Hillary Clinton. Comey reopened the investigation. He decided to go against his superiors and call a press conference where he announced the reopening of the investigation, and it was a public spectacle, right? On the other hand, there was reason to believe, because people like George Papadopoulos were talking to all sorts of people claiming that he had been in touch with Russians. Because of those interactions, there was reason to believe that the Russians were involved in Trump's campaign. And so the FBI, implanted an informant to see what was going on.
Don't hit my sled.
None of us knew about that until recently, because the FBI didn't announce that. There was no press conference about it. It was all top secret. So leading up to the election, the person who had the upper hand, even though he was also facing an investigation, was Donald Trump. So it's just fascinating to see members of the GOP keep making this point about how, all this unfair stuff was going on, and how can this FBI person be against Trump? How was he part of the FBI?
Don't
What
fall,
a
don't
terrible
fall,
bias.
don't
It's
fall,
all
don't
political
fall,
theater.
don't
It's all
fall,
BS.
don't fall.
Okay, look, Democrats are so weak. You know that Obama selected James Comey. James Comey's a lifelong Republican, or was until Trump fired him, and worked under John Ashcroft as his number 2. for his whole life, he's been a Republican. But Obama brought him in and said, no, that's okay, he won't be biased. Most of the FBI officials are Republicans. No, that's okay, they won't be biased. And what did they do? They actually smeared Hillary Clinton. And you can say, hey, it was a legitimate investigation, but it was not legitimate to say right before the election, we're reopening the investigation, right? And even though they knew that they had excellent evidence that Trump's campaign was working with the Russians, they wouldn't say it. So they were biased against Hillary Clinton. I got no love for Hillary Clinton, but that's what actually happened. And what does Trump and the Republicans do? They flip it. No, even though all evidence points to you being biased against my opponent, I will claim that you were biased against me. Meanwhile, the Democrats, nothing, okay? And to be fair, the Democrats, they don't want to rip the FBI to shreds. They don't want to destroy their credibility. They actually believe in our system of government. But there is a guy who's being investigated who's a lifelong criminal and doesn't believe in our system of government and would like to, of course, shred the people that are investigating him. He'd like to take down the cops who are on the beat. And that's Donald Trump trying to take down the FBI who's investigating him today.
All right, more from Gomer.
A member of this committee just asserted that this witness, who is under oath and a former agent of the FBI, lied. There is no evidence that. I asked him to withdraw it.
I do not withdraw it. He is not a member of Congress. It's not a violation of the rule. And just as you have been expressing bias through your members about what a hero
there is not a single person on this committee who has ever characterized a witness
gentleman from Rhode Island.
Gentlemen, it's my time.
That's a
gentleman from Rhode Island will suspend.
No, the disgrace
Mr.
what this man has done.
The gentleman from Texas will suspend for a moment.
There is the disgrace. And it won't be recaptured anytime soon because of the damage you've done to the justice system. And I've talked to FBI agents around the country. You've embarrassed them. You've embarrassed yourself. And I can't help but wonder when I see you looking there with a little smirk, how many times did you look so innocent into your wife's eye and lie to her about Lisa?
Mr. Chairman, this is outrageous.
Credibility of a witness
Shame
is always an issue.
Mr. Chairman, please, there's
Mr. Chairman, this is intolerable harassment of the witness.
What's wrong with that? You need your medication.
These are the people that make decisions for us.
So Strzok was having an affair with the other FBI agent, and they were exchanging these texts. That's where these texts come from. And so Gomer brought his affair into it and talked about how he lied to his wife. But to be fair to Gomer, he has been livid about the dozens of affairs that Donald Trump has had, including paying off Stormy Daniels, a porn star, very recently, and maybe doing campaign finance violations while having unprotected sex with an adult film star, and also the one with Karen McDougal and possibly Sarah Bouchard and the abortion that she got. But Gomer was out, I'm just getting in now. There's no IFB, but still, no, Gomer's never been outraged by any of that, never cared. Bravo, Trump. Way to cheat on your wife, way to lie to her, way to lie to everyone else, way to lie to the whole country. But now that I got a guy who sent a couple of texts that I don't like, I am shocked and chagrined. You have political opinions.
Why is it still nighttime out?
They all have political opinions. The question is, does it affect their work?
Let's see more.
Well, then why wouldn't you wait until the investigation was over before you have her the nominee and winning a general election against an opponent that hadn't even been named yet? 100 million to 0, Agent Strzok? That's how bad she should win?
Mr. Gowdy, those personal expressions of my observing the political process of the presidential primaries had no bearing on my actions of any investigation, to include the investigation of Secretary Clinton.
Why is it still nighttime out? I went to bed.
Else. Sir, you couldn't think of a single person that would not vote for Hillary Clinton for president? 100 million to 0, Agent Strzok?
Sir, that was clearly hyperbole, which I...
Well, let's say it was hyperbole. Let's divide it by 10. How about we say it was hyperbolic and divide it by 10? 100 million divided by 10, I'm pretty sure is 10 million. 0 divided by 10 is still 0. You couldn't think of a single solitary person that was going to vote for her for president before you interviewed her and while you were supposed to be investigating her.
Congressman, clearly that's not the truth. Clearly, I could envision millions of Americans who are likely and did vote for then Kennedy.
Well, you wrote it.
My point, sir.
Did you write it? Did you write that?
I did write that, sir.
Okay. Were you under duress?
Political expression engaging in hyperbole.
Look at how disingenuous that is. Does anyone really
Why is
believe
it nighttime?
that Strzok thought
I woke up in the
literally
morning.
it'll be 100 million to 0?
No, I think it was literal.
What, did you write it? Did you write it? Did you write it? Yeah, he wrote it as a joke. Come on. If you're a Republican or a right-winger, you think that he meant that it'll literally be 100 million to 0? Why is Gowdy wasting time on this? And Gowdy's supposed to be one of the ones that are like, sometimes tweak Trump. And then people get all mad. No, when it comes to the cameras are on, they're all trying to desperately give their bananas to Trump. Oh, Mr. Trump, I helped you. Do you like me now? Gowdy did how many investigations of Obama? And how many investigations of Hillary Clinton when the Republicans were in charge of Congress and Obama was president? And in all of them, oops, turns out there's nothing that they did wrong. But I'll launch another one. I think they did 9 in Benghazi. Every single one concluded, even led by Republicans, that there was no law breaking, nothing wrong, etc. But let's do another one, because I want to be on camera, and I want my base to know I'm as stupid as they are. 100 million to 0. You wrote it. I am outraged.
Do you have any idea how many Republican members of Congress have personally invested hundreds of thousands of their own dollars into private prison companies and then turn around and support laws that criminalize nonviolent behavior of Americans throughout the country? So they can be arrested, prosecuted, and imprisoned in these private prisons so they can make some money. I would argue that that type of conflict of interest is more of a bias that really influences the decision-making that they do while they're supposed to be representing the American people. There's no hearings on that. No. But we're having hearings on an FBI agent who's not part of the Mueller investigation at all. He's not part of the Mueller investigation.
And having conversations and hearings about his texts where he was joking. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, you got him. Are you going to investigate, to Anna's point, your own colleagues and say, isn't it a little biased of you to be ruling on criminal justice when you make money every time the stock price goes up for private prisons?
Oh, it's getting daylight now.
No hearings on that. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.
FBI agent Peter Strzok has agreed to voluntarily testify in front of congressional Republicans. Now, there are Democrats involved in this hearing as well, and we will show you some examples of the exchanges that he's had with them. But he is essentially testifying in front of the House Judiciary and House Oversight Committees. Now, this is all in regard to the text messages that he sent to an FBI attorney by the name of Lisa Page during the time that they were both involved with the Mueller investigation. Now, as soon as Mueller was made aware of these text messages, he took them off of the investigation. So they have nothing to do with the Russian meddling investigation. They have absolutely no impact on the outcome of that investigation. With that said, though, Republicans have seized on the text messages that he sent as a way of discrediting the investigation. And so they claim that there was, or there is, a tremendous amount of bias and that it's a witch hunt, when in reality, anyone who looks into the matter even a little bit understands that that's not the case. They're just attempting to discredit what's going on.
Yeah, so my favorite point that he made, and we'll show you all super fun videos in a second, is he said, look, if I wanted to make sure that Trump didn't win, and we had a conspiracy about that, I was one of the very few people in the country that knew that we were investigating Trump's involvement with Russia, potential involvement with Russia, right? I could have just leaked it. I could have just said it, in which case that would have tremendously hurt Trump's chance of winning the election. But we didn't leak it. I didn't say anything. So if I was trying to interfere with the election, I had a curious way of doing it because I didn't interfere. And that is a devastatingly good point. So
he makes a lot of good points. Look, I was not interested in this story until I saw the way that he is fighting, essentially, during these hearings. He represents a level of strength that I wish that we would see from some of our elected officials on the left. And he is not allowing them to walk all over him. So I want to give you a quick statement before we go to the first round of videos. Let's go to graphic 2. He says, I have the utmost respect for Congress. Congress's oversight role. But I truly believe that today's hearing is just another victory notch in Vladimir Putin's belt and another milestone in our enemy's campaign to tear America apart.
Damn.
And some of the exchanges you're about to see really do play into what he is trying to message in that quote. All right, so with that said, the hearings are hours and hours long. But I want to show you what I thought was the most interesting. So here is an exchange between Strzok and Daryl Issa. Let's take a look at the first video.
We have one sheet of paper that was presented to you a few minutes ago, and I'm going to just go to a date and then ask you to read your own words. March 4th, 2016.
You want me to read this?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir. OMG, he's an idiot.
May 4th, 2016.
Now the pressure really starts to finish MYE.
July 19th, 2016.
Hi, how was Trump other than a douche? Melania?
July 21st, 2016.
Trump is a disaster. I have no idea how destabilizing his presidency would be.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you for letting him read that. That was awesome that that's in the congressional record now. So he didn't think that Trump was smart. That makes him perfectly suited for the Federal Bureau of Investigations. Okay, if you investigated Trump's intelligence, you would conclude that he's not very bright.
I would love to conduct a polygraph test on Trump's current advisors and aides and ask them, do you think Trump is a smart person?
Or the Republican congressman asking those questions. Remember that Red State, which is a right-wing blog, did an interview off the record with a Republican congressman who said, oh, we all think he's a total idiot. And we just got to survive our primaries, and after that, I don't know what'll happen, but he's an absolute disaster. So if you read their text, they would probably say the same exact thing, and they're not colluding against Trump. It's just obvious that he's an idiot, so this guy recognized it. That doesn't prove anything. So Strzok thought that Trump was an idiot. What's left out of there is that he also did not like Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders, particularly Bernie Sanders. That doesn't mean he launched some sort of deep state conspiracy against Bernie Sanders.
It's going to do that back
it just
wall.
means that was his opinions.
After
Do you
this,
think
and I'm
that
done.
other people at the FBI don't have opinions? No, they all have opinions, political opinions. Presumably, most of them vote, and some of them, and according to inside sources, most of them are Republicans. So does that mean they can never investigate any Democrats? No. You put, hopefully, if you're doing it right and you're a professional, you put those political opinions aside when you do these investigations. And yes, some of them voted for Hillary Clinton. Yes, some of them voted for Donald Trump. It appears most of them vote, or more of them voted for Donald Trump. But that doesn't mean that by definition they're biased against Hillary Clinton in the investigation they did of her.
Let's see more from Daryl Issa and Peter Strzok.
August 8th, 2016. And I'll preface it by saying this for context. Ms. Page said, not ever going to become president, right? Right?
No, he's not. We'll stop it.
Repeat that again.
No, he's not. We'll stop it.
August 15th, 2016.
I want to believe the path you threw out for consideration in Andy's office, that there's no way he gets elected, but I'm afraid we can't take that risk. It's like an insurance policy in the unlikely event you die before you're 40.
On October 20th, 2016.
I can't pull away what the, and I defer to the chairman whether
you can just use one letter if you don't mind.
Why the F, what the F happened to our country, Lise?
Okay, read it again that way.
Sir, did you not, was it not intelligible?
Hear it
you
one
just
more
want to
time.
hear it for
Yeah.
me to repeat it?
Please.
Okay, sir. Sure, happy to indulge you.
He's salty.
Yeah, and with the Putin quote, he struck first. ICE is actually at least parts of those are relevant. The things that people focus on most is him saying, we'll stop it, okay? And so he was given an opportunity to explain that. He does explain it. He puts it in the proper context. It didn't mean we'll do a deep state operation where we let him win and then afterwards stop it, right? He won. We didn't do anything to stop him winning. In fact, we helped him by concealing the fact that we were investigating foreign interference in his campaign.
Right. So in the next video, Strzok gives context into these text messages and kind of explains what was going through his head and what this all means.
If I may, what is important is that these texts represent personal beliefs just like those that you'd find on my personal phone. What these texts do not represent is any act, any suggestion of an act, any consideration that we need to do this or not do this. And furthermore, I would encourage you, as I believe, I forget who I said this to earlier this morning, you need to read these texts in the context of what was going on at the time. So when I make the comment about Trump having no idea how destabilizing his presidency would be, that came on the heels of a speech where then candidate Trump said he didn't know whether or not the United States should honor its commitment to mutual defense under NATO.
I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. That's not briefly. Mr. Chairman, in light of these actual...
No. Give him that regular word.
They have no interest in hearing any explanations. This is all about political theater. This is all about GOP members of Congress trying to appear like they're these tough guys because they're not letting him talk. They have no interest in anything he has to say. They just want to get their point out there. They want to make it abundantly clear and apparent that they are warriors for Trump and they're going to fight for him and they're going to, continue this ridiculous narrative that he's undergoing a witch hunt. It's so pathetic. All of it's pathetic, and it's so discouraging to see what's going on right now.
Yeah, can you read your incriminating text? We'll believe your incriminating text. Okay, he reads it. Okay, can you explain it? I'm going to explain it. Cut him off. We're moving on. Well, but then what would you have him in for? You could have just read the text yourself, right? The whole point of the hearing is supposed to be like, and what do you say about that? And he's like, oh, well, here's the context in which, shut up, don't talk. Then why are we having these hearings? 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And the second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.
That's all it takes to break this shit?
Actor Sacha Baron Cohen is coming out with a new movie. It's titled Who is America? It's actually not a movie, or is it?
It's a Showtime show.
It is a Showtime show, I apologize. So he's coming out with a Showtime show, and there are conservatives who are very upset about it, namely Sarah Palin, because he tricks them into thinking that he is a disabled veteran. And then he meets up with them to talk to them and has them do all sorts of funny things. So just to give you an example, here is his interaction with Dick Cheney, former vice president.
Mm-hmm.
Dick Cheney, is it possible to sign my water board?
Sure.
That's the first. That's the first time I've ever signed a water board.
Look, so that I love. And he's been doing this for a long, long time as Ali G. Before you might know him as Ali G. There's a bunch of characters, obviously, that he does. My favorite from the old Ali G was Newt Gingrich, where he kept having him spell his name. And Newt was so bothered because he's like, you should already know me. Like, he got under his skin because of his ego. And it was a perfect way to get under his skin. And he's like, what, spell it again? And he's like, G-I-N-G. So I love that. I love that he got Cheney to sign the waterboard kit. I got to say, though, posing as a disabled veteran, I don't know about that, man.
Yeah, okay, so it's a show. It's a comedic show. And I feel like I always feel uncomfortable, whether it's a joke that, offends progressives or a joke that offends conservatives. I hate policing comedy. I don't agree with it. But I had the same reaction where it's like, disabled veteran. But I don't really want to get into that conversation because, again, I think comedy should be allowed to be comedic, right?
Yeah, have a wide berth. And Now, I'd be curious to see what conservative online reaction is. I get that conservatives in Washington will be outraged. They're outraged by everything. But the conservatives online, they say, hey, man, liberals judge comedians too much.
They do say that. They
right?
do say
they
that.
say, hey, you guys are being too politically correct. I mean, I hope you guys aren't going to be politically correct.
Right, right. And that certainly is, in some cases, a valid criticism, right? So anyway, let's get that out of the way because I want to talk about what Sarah Palin's reaction was. Because it plays into, you know, the projection that we see from the right wing over and over again. So here's what she had to say. She posted about it on Facebook because apparently she was also victimized by Sacha Baron Cohen. She was duped, and she says so. She says, yep, we were duped. You got me, Sasha. Feel better now? I join a long list of American public personalities who have fallen victim to the evil, exploitative, sick humor of the British comedian Sacha Baron Cohen, enabled and sponsored by CBS Showtime. She continues to write say that she and her daughter traveled across the country to meet Cohen in disguise, while he was in disguise, of course. She says that she experienced an interview full of Hollywoodisms, disrespect, and sarcasm, and that she removed her microphone and left. Okay.
Okay.
So
I am amused by the idea that Sarah Palin would go in disguise. She'd be like, oh, yeah? Dun, 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 dun. Right back at you.
okay. But just take it easy. Like it really got to her, man.
Oh, yeah, she did. She don't like that.
She don't like that.
So, and again, I don't know if this part is true. If it is, this is gratuitous. She claims that the staff then drove her to the wrong airport
I might do this
on purpose
somewhere else
so they would miss their
or
flight
off
back
camera.
to Alaska. I don't trust anything Sarah Palin says, so I don't know if that's true or untrue. If it was true, though, I'd be bothered by that.
Yeah, me too, definitely.
Yeah.
I'd
like
be on
you
her
already
side
got her, and you got her for the show. You don't need to rub it in and do that move. But anyway, but we don't know if that's true. Now, is Sacha Baron Cohen evil, as Sarah Palin suggests? Well, I guess it depends on your perspective, but let me give you a sense of who this guy is. He's Orthodox Jew and has given over $1 million to help Muslim immigrants. Refugees, I should say, okay? So now, if you're a right-winger, you're like, I can't believe he's helping Muslim refugees. If you're a decent person, you go, see, now that's an open-minded guy who has done something incredibly magnanimous to help the most powerless and downtrodden people in the country, in the world, I should say, those refugees that are absolutely devastated. So he put his money where his mouth is, and both him and his wife have done incredible charity. So keep that in mind as well. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos. So there's a fascinating new study out. It was done by Iowa State University, and it tracked how women react to quote-unquote benevolent sexism. Now, is that even a thing? Well, let's find out. First, let me quote here. Women tend to be more attached to men who view females as pure and nurturing, but also weak and needing extra care, an attitude that has been named benevolent sexism. That's the conclusion of a new study published in Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin. It's a real study, okay? Now, one study doesn't mean it's the end-all be-all, but it is a fascinating conclusion, and I'm not overly surprised by it, to be honest with you. There's an extra twist for feminism in a second, okay, but let me give you more details. In the study, benevolent sexist men were described as believing that women should be cherished and protected by men and should be helped before men in emergency situations. They were also described as giving their coat to a woman in the cold and opening doors for her. Whereas the men who were not sexist in that definition, and by the way, the people who did the study do not agree with the term benevolent sexism. They're like, look, that's just what's used in common parlance, but we don't believe that those people are necessarily quote-unquote sexist. Now, the ones that are egalitarian, the men who are egalitarian, said, no, I don't need to open a door, we could share the bill, et cetera, and apparently women didn't like that as much. Hey, look, facts are facts, whether they're inconvenient or they're not inconvenient. We should never make the same mistake as the right wing. Well, if I don't like those facts, I'm just going to ignore them. I'm going to call them fake news.
Right.
Okay, now, speaking of inconvenient, one last one here. Feminist women were as likely as non-feminist women to prefer benevolent sexist men over more egalitarian men. Drums.
Yeah, that is drums.
Okay, I have my thoughts, but you're more relevant here because you're a woman and you have dealt with a lot of men who are in that range. What's your take?
I think this is fake news. No, I'm kidding. Okay. Actually, my thoughts on this are complicated. Okay, so I do identify as a feminist. However, I do get a lot of backlash from other women who identify as feminists because I do think that men and women are biologically different. I think
Come
that.
on.
I know.
Of
I know.
course,
I do. Look, I love femininity. I love being feminine, and I love wearing high heels. I love doing things that, some feminists reject. So the reason why I'm pointing this out is because there are a lot of variations among feminist ideology, okay? And so I actually am attracted to things that, okay, I'll give you an example. So I don't ever want to be considered mentally or when it comes to intellect, I don't want to feel as though the man that I'm with is putting me down and thinking that I'm inferior in that regard. However, physically speaking, yeah, I'm weaker. So I'll give you an example. 2 years ago, as I was hiking with my husband at Runyon Canyon in Los Angeles, a man physically assaulted me. He came up to me. I was filming him because he started getting violent with my husband, right? And I'm filming him on my phone, and I told him, I'm filming you with the hopes that he would stop. And then he essentially ran up to me, grabbed my phone, pushed me to the ground. Within seconds, I don't know how this happened, but my husband had his hand around his neck, pinned on the ground, and told him, give her her phone back. And that turned me on. I'm just keeping it 100, right? And so, do I want to be protected in situations like that? Yes. Did my husband do that? Yes. I don't know if that's considered benevolent sexism, but
it's a weird term.
It is a weird term, and I do like chivalry, right? I also like equality of opportunity in the workplace. That's where my feminism really is targeted.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's complicated. Feminism is complicated. Gender dynamics and relationships are complicated, and I think that we should be honest about that.
Yeah. So, first of all, we covered that in a postgame. That was dramatic. tyt.com/join.
How come there isn't a rock
get all the
sled?
postgames where we talk more about our personal lives. So, my take on this is of course, unsurprisingly, very similar to yours, in that, to me, what feminism means, and why I would call myself feminist as well, is it's really, really simple. Same rights for men and women. And you could open a door for a woman or give her your coat and still believe they should have equal rights. I don't think that those things have to contradict one another. By the way, some people on the left might, and if you think it's everybody on the left, that's just total right-wing propaganda. Oh, they're all crazy, and they all think if you open a door for them once, they're gonna, shout at you and hate you. No, and by the way, I'm not saying that nobody does that, but I think it's a tiny minority, right? So, do I give my coat to my wife if she's cold? Of course I do. By the way, I'd give it to anyone who was cold. I give it to my kids, I give it to my friends if they were cold and I'm not as cold, right? That's what a decent human being should do. And would I protect my wife? Of course I would. And there's nothing wrong with being strong. Being strong is fantastic. What's our slogan on the Young Turks? Too strong, right? So you can do that and still respect people.
Yes, exactly.
Right, and that should not be a hard balancing act. That should actually be relatively easy. It's
pretty good.
The next thing that the people
I
who
love the
did
way
this
the
study want to
rocks just keep on
look into
spawning.
next is, are guys faking it? Are some of them faking it, and are women recognizing that?
Hey,
What
Alex.
does it mean to fake benevolent sexism? What it means is they don't really think that women are weaker and need to be more nurtured, but some of them might be doing.
Is the political news bothering you? I was just bored gathering shit. Sleep. think I go to bed too early in this game because when I get up, it's still nighttime. What the hell's that about? Like my base? Shouldn't it be morning? Maybe I go to bed too early in this game. I think that might be what I do. Tell you what I'd really like to do is play a co-op on this. Oh wait, hungry. I don't know if this food is good or not. Yeah, I don't know why. I just went to sleep. It should be morning. Oh wow, I need water. I also need to find a pot so I can drink water that is not bad for me. Alright, good. Turns out these walls suck, I found out, because I had to destroy this because I screwed it up. And it didn't take long for me to get through it with this axe. So when the cannibals come for me, I'm pretty screwed. So that's why I'm starting to make a stone wall. Wait. It's totally day. What do you mean? Oh my god, what's that noise? Oh! The trees spawn. That's cool. What was that noise? Now, that's an animal, right? Making that noise? I hope so. I'm not ready. I'm not ready for anything. And I picked a really great spot. So nothing's really been attacking me. So I don't think I'm very ready to be attacked. I have a wooden spear, an axe, a hatchet, and nothing else. Probably should make a bow at some point. If I can figure out how to do it. How do you make a bow? Wait a minute. Maybe some stuff off the drying rack? Nope. 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 Make it a bow. Make it a bow. Nope. Small stone? Nope. I guess I don't have anything. I guess, remove all, I suppose. I don't know. I don't know how to make a bow. Is it daytime yet? I like the little light I have. I just noticed that. Come on, daylight. What's the point of going to bed in this game if it doesn't mean you're gonna rabbit? I guess I'll put this stuff back since I don't know how to use it. Cloth, rope, and stick. I don't have any of that. Alright. Well, I guess in the morning, when it's finally morning, I can go and do that. Maybe I'll go attack some villagers. Feathers plus stick equals 4 arrows. Oh! What? Feathers, stick. 5 feathers. Oh, neat. Well, that's good. Whoops. Well, that's good. Cloth, rope, and stick. I don't have any cloth or rope. Can I make rope? What's this? What's this do? Anything? Well, I have arrows now. I just need a bow. I have a lot of arrows. I have 15 now. I guess it's becoming daylight now. Oh, 7 cloth. How do you take food with you? Like, I got this food down here on the drying rack, right? How do I just... Oh, never mind. I've just been holding down. Wait. So why... Oh! You can only take it if it's actually done being dried. Alright. What I'm gonna do is head over. I'm gonna go try to find one of those villages. That should be interesting. Okay, I thought I saw some tents or houses down here. Huh. Alright, I'll get rid of the news while I'm fighting. Okay, here I go. I think there's some houses down here. Or some cannibals. Ooh, a shadow. I'm not used to shadows. I got a new laptop, as I may have told you already. And now I have everything on ultra. So I'm not used to seeing shadows. It's a new thing for me. Oh, let's go down there. What is this? Is this clean water? Nope, it might be salt water. What are those? Rabbit cages? I guess? What's this? What? Can I go in? Books, Bibles, rabbits. ASUSTeK. What? I don't understand. Can you do anything with this stuff? Nope. Yeah, I should make more sticks. Oh, nope. That's not how you get sticks. Sticks. Oh, who knew this? I didn't know this existed. A little menu. 1, 2. What? The hell just happened? Can you make another spear? Oops. Maybe you can't make a spear if you already have one in your hand. Let's test that theory. Whoops, wrong button. Yeah, that's it. Pick up my stick. I thought there were some cannibals over here somewhere. Hi, lizard. Nice. Is there? Do you know of any? Do you know where I am in this game right now? Do you? Oh wait, don't eat those, right? Do you know if there are some cannibals in this area? What the hell's that? Oh, a turtle. What? It's a new kind of turtle. I've never seen this kind of turtle. It's the kind that the head. Maybe if he sticks his head out, I can stab him. Come on. Yep. I guess that's what you do. You wait for him to stick his little head out and you stab it. Don't be afraid. Oh! Nice. Turtle meat and a shell. And a trophy? Okay. I have a I have a turtle head. I don't like turtle heads. There it is. Right there. I see a village or a little encampment. All right, let's go get killed. I have no armor on. Eat. Maybe I won't see anybody. Oh, did I just change my... Did I just put my shirt on? I just put a shirt on. Neat. Oh, I have a skull now. Some lizard skin. Oh, I have cloth. Huzzah! Can only carry so many skulls, apparently. Okay, that's awful. What did I just pick up? Did I pick up a foot? I have a raw leg. What the hell? cloth. That's good. 5 more. So I have 7 cloth now. That's good. That means I'm closer to being able to make rope. Is that a... I'm not going to eat the red berries. I didn't even look at that. What? What? Oh, hi bird. Oh, I know I can eat these. I can make a bow now? I have to make rope first, right? Aha! What was it again? No, wait. Rope. No. Ah! Yes! Ha! Thanks, man. That's cool. See what happens when you go and venture out a little bit? Where the hell's my house? It's over there. Oh, it was nice of these cannibals to do this for me. Put up all these things. Oh, this is where I get cloth from. Where's the sun? Okay, which way's back to base? Or house? Over there. Okay, what's this? Eat? I'll just take. I don't know what it is. I'll just take it. Maybe I can look it up later. Huh, interesting. So no cannibals. Oh, that's cool. What the hell is that noise? God, this game is scary. I wonder if there's a cave over here. I bet there is along this wall. Somewhere. Maybe? What happens when you just sit there? I have a lizard head. Exciting. Let's see if my bow is... How do you pick bow? Like, do you always have to do this shit here? That's how you pick a bow? That's dumb. I think I'm going the wrong way, because if I have to get back to my house, I can't climb. So I should probably head back this way. Also look for caves. I'm really disappointed about no cannibals, because I would like some bones. Oh, is this a cave? What's this? No. I didn't know if it was one of those crack things you can slide in between. What? Yeah, I gotta look up how to make a your bow on your hotbar. I'm gonna have to make some storage, because I have a lot of stuff on me. There's my base. Now you can see it in the daylight. These walls are so weak, though. What's that? Can I open this if I have it locked from the outside, inside? Nope. That'll be my next project right there. That's gonna take forever. Okay, dry and rack. Let's see here. I really don't want these legs. Maybe I should burn them. No, maybe. Yeah, I should burn them. I'll make a fire over here. Right about. Maybe this is where I can burn things. Rocks. I should go lock the door. Oh, look, I can. I'm not going to eat it, though. Gonna try not to eat it. Drying rack. Whoops. Oh, I got a bird coming. Hello, bird. I'm not sure what this means. Happens every once in a while. Very exciting. See? Is that it? Okay. Okay. I'm not gonna eat it. I'm not gonna eat it. No. And you can't just take it, so those legs, they're on there forever. What's this? Little rock. Okay. Okay, let's go up here. Alright, let's sleep. And hopefully it'll be morning. Yay! What's that? Feather. Save. Great! Trees are growing back. That's kind of cool. Oh yeah, I was gonna make some storage. Forgot about that. Alright, let's go back in. Kinda wanna make a platform. But not right now. Need storage. Okay. I guess. I don't like the storage in this game. I want a big box that holds more than it should. I don't really. So 8 logs. Nice. Hello, dear. Ha ha! I have so much food. I don't like deer heads. Maybe I can burn them. Nope. kind of want cannibals to attack me. When I read online about this this spot to build, it said if you want to not be attacked much at all, go here. So it seemed like a good idea at the time. But I don't know. Maybe it's okay. Because I can always go find trouble. And I can always make an outpost somewhere. This could be my safe base. Oh, I should drop off my sticks. Alright, I think I have enough now. Can I go through this door with logs? I can. That's exciting. I go in here? Yep, I can. Oh, that's kind of a pain in the ass. Oh god. I bet I won't even like this storage thing. I think, doesn't it work like you just put things on a shelf? It doesn't really store much at all. Okay. Well, what do I want to store? Bunch of raw meat. Skulls. Ooh, a turtle shell. I always forget I have that. Photo. Oh, look at me. I'm starving to death. Hold on. Is this gonna kill me? It might be old. I say I have a lot of food, but wow, that's a lot of food I have to eat. Oh, I'm not doing good. That was not a good idea. Let's go down here and get some water. Some water that's poisonous, of course. Alright. Drink some poisonous water, some bad meat, and I'm good. How they don't have a rock sled, I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking. Okay. All I can do is put that there? No, I want that. As a matter of fact. So really, I can't store anything here at all. Nothing. Well, that's good. Now I'm going to put some sticks away. Okay. Now where do I go? Huh. I guess I can go, I'm gonna go in this direction over here, and maybe I'll run into some cannibals. Is that a beaver? That was scary. Oh, it's a coon. Hey, raccoon. Nice. Never know when you're going to want to have some raccoon. No, don't eat it! Oh, God. I thought I was eating it. Okay. That was scary. Anything else? Hello. I'm a raccoon. Okay, whatever. Do I have a raccoon head now? Whoa. Okay, this weather's not good. Alright. I think I'm going too close to the winter area. Why can't I just take it? Why can't I just take the berries with me? Huh? Why is that? I'll get some sticks while I'm here. I am not going to eat those. They don't look good. I wonder how I tell if I'm cold. Is it that little bar on the bottom right? No, that's stamina. Oh, the outside is cold. Oh God. I don't know which way to go. I wonder if there's a cave around here. I think this is the way I went before. Look, another raccoon. Yeah, okay. There are those tents I found already, so that means it's those other cabin things are over there. So let's see what's over here. I think I'm going to have to make... Boy, it's raining hard. I'm going to have to make an outpost, I think. Because I built so far away from everything. Anything I do takes so long to get there that it becomes nighttime. That sucks. Can I get down here? I'm sure I can get down. Can I get down safely here? I am so just skirting the outskirts. Oh wait, that's Department of Redundancy Department. I'm just like so carefully not going anywhere. Anywhere inland. I'm just taking my time. It's a scary game when you're alone. Let's go see up here. Where you going, Rabbit? How do I select bow without going into my inventory? B? Nope, that's that, right? Day does not last very long. Oh. Well, here's some things. Good, electronics. I was hoping I would find some. This is what I think you can make bombs. I'm sure you need a lot more than electronics. Whoa, it's raining hard. It's raining very hard. This is where I die. Let's see. It's all raw meat. Shit. Since when can you not hit these things down? That's odd. It's getting dark. I need to go back. What? Oh, is that just it's just wet. Okay. Oh, it's getting dark. I did not time this well at all. Run. This is not good. I'm nowhere. Run, run, run. I think I can get up over on this side. Well, now I know which direction I need to go. Yeah, the day-night cycle's really short. I don't mind the night cycle. Oh wait, being short, but I would really prefer the day to be longer. I wonder if there's a setting I can use. Because I can't go do anything. I use one more stone. Maybe two. That's good. Hit the wall after you build it. Nice. Smart. Maybe this tri-rack is glitched under the stairs a little bit because I think I have more. No. Okay, I don't. So. I guess you just go by sight. That looks dry. And that one doesn't. Okay, well that's important to know. Okay, so that way is nothing. That way is almost nothing. That way I don't, and that way I don't know. All that over there, I don't know. That's bad, probably. Okay. Light a fire. Hell is that noise? Put that on the fire. Have anything else? What is the point of this thing if I can't put anything on it? Alright. Sleep. Save. Yeah, override the bitch. And of course it's nighttime. What just happened? Okay. Alright, well. I will hopefully get to play again later. But unfortunately I have to go and open my store. But thanks for your help, Alex. I am out of here. I wish I could just play all day. See you later.